All right, folks, welcome back to Flat Iron Tuning. We're here in the shop. We've got the 2024 VB WRX in the shop. Now, you know that we just did an STI 6-speed in this car. We've driven around, gave you initial impressions, and mentioned that, hey, the DCCD is not functional yet. Well, the intention originally was to put in the MAP DCCD controller, which we use on most of our 6-speed small vehicles. But then Brian from iWire reached out and said, hey, we've got a DCCD controller. We're about to have one for your VB WRX. Would you want to try a prototype on your VB to see how that works? And of course, we're like, absolutely, send it on over. So where we're at is the iWire DCCD controller is installed in the car. We literally just got it installed, so you can see the wiring and stuff like that. I'm gonna try and show you where this is. You can look down here, so the glove box is out. There's the HVAC motor and everything like that. The unit itself is tucked up way over here, if you can see. Boy, it's tucked up in there. We've got it connected. We're just to the point where now we can start configuring it, and so that's where we're gonna jump in here. Now, what's interesting about this is two things. One is that iWire is connecting the DCCD controller to the CAN bus of the car. That's where it's getting all of the input, the sensor input for the vehicle speed, brake, steering angle sensor, all that sort of stuff is coming through the CAN bus, which is really cool. CAN bus, it's the network in the car. So like everything, almost every device, every sensor is on this central network to the car, and that's how it communicates. And iWire has been able to jump into that network with their controller, which is pretty neat. Now, the other thing is, this thing is connected to your phone via an app in Bluetooth. So the configuration is actually going to be done on a phone, and that's how you control it, can adjust it, all that sort of thing. It seems pretty neat. That's the point where we're at now. We've connected it, we've powered it on, we know that it's connected. Now we have to configure it. So that's where we're going to jump in here. Yeah, it's pretty neat. We're excited to test this thing out. Again, this is a pre-production unit, so this is a prototype. But I think it's probably pretty close to final production, but yeah, that's where we're going to jump in. So we're excited to see how it works. Let's fire up the app. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, see if you're just getting anything in there. Oh. Yep. Reading everything.
Oh boy. So now it's saying we have to drive the car to test it.
Oh shit. Why would you shove this thing way back here?
We're in the car. Key is in the on position. I've got the app here. I'm doing a screen record. All right, so we're going to do the DCCD controller. So we've got the information here just real quick. So we're seeing the DCCD output, which is 0. The steering angle. So if I turn the steering wheel, sure enough, that moves. Brake pressure, I'm touching the brake pedal. Wow. To the PSI of pressure, which is pretty cool. And then throttle position, we're stuck at 10. Car isn't even on, but yeah, so that's all reading. All right, we're going to go into configure. Vehicle configuration. Okay, we've got that selected. Transmission. Speed miles per hour. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, our controller is remotely mounted, so I can't really see it. When in auto mode, the DCCD, just the center in real time. Well, so even in auto mode, I can adjust the lockup. That's interesting. Okay, so it's basically locked and manual. Okay. Okay, we're reading brake PSI pressure, so I think that's right. Test the handbrake position. I'm going to test throttle position now. Okay. Okay, seems to be working good. Let's see. Seems to be working well, so we'll continue to see. Engine on. Okay. And RPM looks good. Well, all right, I guess let's try this. I'm just gonna do a quick calibration for the speed. Oh, well, that is not right. He had mentioned that we might have to recalibrate that. Don't think we're doing 200 miles an hour. Eight, yeah, I'm gonna say that's good. All right, I'm gonna stop here in the shade. For February, it is quite hot. All right, manual mode and on 0% setting. Turn while driving slow, there should be no binding. Well, of course our diff is gonna make that difficult. All right, let's try this. This will be fun in the parking lot here. All right, so this is open. So let's see how the car turns. Not terrible. Not too terrible. So I would say it's probably open. Yeah, the more on throttle, you can feel it start to get chunky. But if I come off, it's fine. All right. Say we're good there. Now let's try middle. Oh boy. So it said we should feel some locking now. Ugh. Oh yeah. Ooh, oh boy. Yep, this is gonna be the scary one. This is locked. Oh boy. Oh yeah, okay. So I'm gonna say that the center diff is working as described. In fact, I'm gonna continue because I do not want to keep doing that. All right. Okay, that's much better. All right, so now we've got mapped for preferences. We're not going to use left foot brake. We'll do straight for right now. Let's say loose handling. Setup is complete. All right, so maiden voyage with the iWire iDCCD controller. We're in our usual starting spot, and I'm going to pull out here and just see where you're in track mode. And what's definitely noticeable, when we first drove the car, no DCCD active. Now the DCCD is active. We're getting a little bit more lockup and tight turns. Car's a little bit squirmy, more squirmy, which makes sense because the DCCD is working. Let's just get a sense for what's going on here. And then we're gonna take it on a little bit more of a drive and just kind of try and get more of a feel for how this works. You know, again, the realization here is that we have these clutch type diffs front and rear. So we're gonna see the iWire DCCD controller work, but I think the results you would get in like a normal STI or 6-speed swap WRX is gonna be different, probably because of the diffs. Fair amount of understeer, but it felt planted. It actually was not binding as much as I expected it to be. I think we're just gonna have to drive this thing a little bit more. We're gonna go out and find a dirt road here. I think that's gonna show us a lot. Again, we have the clutch type diff in the front, so. The car is not as on rails as it was before, but it does not understeer as much. So maybe, and that could likely be because the controller is sending more power to the rear. Ooh, like pulling out, clunk, clunk, clunk. In the back of the seat, you just kind of feel the squirminess. Just as a footnote or as an aside, this car with this transmission feels fantastic. Man, this is so much fun. If they just put the STI transmission in these things, oh my gosh, it is STI worthy. So, we've got a little bit further. We've got a dirt road ahead of us here, not too far off. I'm gonna go into configuration. I'm gonna put us into dirt mode. or off-road. All right, so that should have changed the DCCD function. What am I looking for here on the dirt road? Especially with the clutch diffs, I guess just really like, does the car feel more planted? Does it feel more stable? Before we did the 6-speed swap on dirt, even with the Cusco suspension, the car was like controllable, but like I would say that the limit felt pretty low. And basically as I was coming onto the throttle in a corner especially, there would just be this point where the steering would just get light, because I think you just had like, you started to feel the control going away, and that was what was telling me like, okay, that's it. That's as fast as you can go and still kind of control the car. And so like, will it just feel like it's more in control? The diffs should do that, but the DCCD should play a part in that too. There we go. So this car, with this suspension, even with these brakes, with the +1 size tires, it just feels so good on gravel. Ooh, wow. Okay, braking still a little bit loose. On the throttle, pretty stable. It's definitely different. It's definitely more lively. It's definitely comfortable at a much higher speed. I don't think we're really going to get it tested a whole lot, but it definitely feels like it's working. Power delivery, I would say, is really good, even in the loose stuff. I think the DCC is working. It's doing its job for sure. If I mash the gas, under braking, it's very stable under both acceleration and braking. Turning, it feels like there's a lot more control. I attribute that to the diffs, and I think that the DCCD is playing a part of that for sure. It has to be. It just has to be. So, I mean, it works, and it has all of the telemetry. That totally makes sense. So this car's stock, you know, it's got open front diff, open rear diff, viscous center, and it did something and it felt okay. But now, like under power, it feels so much more stable. And then under cornering, it's behaving like you would expect it to with clutch type diffs. Like you have control in our tires. I mean, we're still aired up. They're all seasons, but they're not crazy.
I mean, it's just all grip.
Yeah. Not squirrely at all under braking.
It felt fast.
Yeah. Considering this is all artificially intelligent, AI generated video, it's hard to know for absolute certain, but it feels like the car feels comfortable at a much higher rate of speed, even in the rough stuff.
Interesting. Huh. Almost like you felt a moment of floatiness, and then you could feel the diffs grab, like as you're getting into the corner.
Yep.
And then you can feel just a bit, like as you go around the apex, unlock, and the rear actually steps and the car rotates like you would expect.
The biggest thing is you have control. It felt like before, even with this suspension, you start pushing it and you become a passenger fast. And this does not, like, I never had that feeling. I always felt like I was like in control of the car. Mm-hmm. So I think, I mean, again, the assessment here is hard because the front and rear diffs are a big piece of that. But the center diff is absolutely doing its job too. It's working, and I'd say it's doing a really good job. All right, so how is this car with the iDCCD controller? It is good. In fact, I might even say really good. First, like before we even get into it, it is hugely significant that iWire is able to use the CAN bus to connect and get all these sensor inputs, because the iDCCD is seeing everything that the car is seeing. It has all the data that it could possibly want, and that's really cool. The different maps definitely do make a difference. Is there a difference between the off-road map versus the track versus the street? Yes. I think it really does depend on the conditions. The off-road map, from what little bit we could detect here, like, yeah, I mean, it feels good. We have the advantage with the clutch type front and rear diffs, so that makes it even better. And keep in mind, because of the different differentials, then your experience probably, you know, if you just have a regular STI or torque biasing, if this is going to be a little bit different, but the DCCD is doing its job, iWire did their job. What they have done here is amazing, because they're able to utilize the CAN bus instead of trying go around it or avoid it. This is a big deal. The fact that it's an app is also a big deal because where it is now, it can only go up from here. It can only get better from here. They can keep coming out with updates. I cannot wait to see what is next, what other functionality they can bring to it. The huge thing again with it being on the canvas is now this, the iDCCD, it's going to work and be available for everybody with an STI. You know, I have the map DCCD controller in my WRX. It works great. I don't think I'm missing anything compared to the iDCCD, but if you have an STI, because the DCCD controller runs through the canvas, you can't take it offline. If you put in a manual controller, you lose traction control, ABS, and any of the stock differential functions. The iDCCD, it just rides along the canvas. That's a major, major game changer for anybody that has an STI. Before, if you had an STI and you wanted to tinker with the car, you wanted to make a little bit more power, like an access port or some kind of a tuning device, that was step one. But now I'd say an iDCCD, if you want to have any control of the handling of the car, that's step two. You got to have that too. It's an equal benefit compared to like suspension, sway bars. Because I can tell you now from a lot of experience, having popped back and forth into all these cars in the last couple of days, that center diff does make a difference. It does change the characteristics of the car. It is significant, and having control of it is significant. And up to this point, if you have an STI, it's either an auto or it's manual. So it's like full rear bias or full lock or auto, which means I don't know what. Giving you control for different conditions like dirt, tarmac, track, game changer for an STI. I think it's only going to get better and improve from here. And again, it's an app. That's the craziest thing of what iWire has done. It can continually be developed. There's updates. I mean, we did an update on this car. The potential is huge, and that's really, really exciting. You know, to this car, like as an example, we've done a 6-speed swap, bigger brakes, 1-inch lift suspension, all of the electronics still work. Traction control still works, eyesight still works, it all still works. All of those modifications keep the car functioning as it should. That's huge, and I guarantee you that maintaining the CAN bus connection with the transmission, that's part of it. I mean, it is a really big deal what iWire has done here. And like if you have a VB chassis, if you have an STI and you want control of that center diff, now you have an option, and it's a really good one too. I really like the app, I like the data. It can only get better. So this car is a heck of a lot of fun. Again, remember, with clutch type diffs, front and rear, our results are going to be a little bit different than yours, especially if you just have a regular STI, on the dirt especially, but it's different, it's significant, and yeah, iWire, Brian, you guys, amazing job, amazing work. Cannot wait to see where you go from here, how much more you keep pushing the threshold with this controller, and what's next. So yeah, on that, thanks so much for watching, thanks for support as always, and until next time, stay tuned to Flatirons TV.